welcome to the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen. Well, there's 4 of us in the kitchen today. Sorry that we are so late. A little bit stressful because I didn't know we had to make some buttercream. Rachel. And then Karen is getting it in the air here. So we need buttercream, and I'm going, oh, we need to be live. Right, so I want you to sit back nice and comfy. We've got a full day of demonstrations today. Do not worry, we're going to have plenty of breaks, cup of tea breaks, wee breaks, whatever we need. And Karen is going to be on comments so she can read out the questions. But what I really want you to do, instead of asking questions, can we just listen to what Rachel has to say? So I'd really like her to talk through the whole subject first with no questions, and then I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions. Does that make sense? Because what happens is, and I do it on all the lives, people say I talk too much, but it isn't. The questions are going, so you're asking all the time. It's constant interruption. Now, a few of you have had a go at your Ganaching kits. I've had to go. Now, I've never made ganache, and I haven't used the kits for ganache myself. But Rachel has done 4 cakes. I think we've got all 4 cakes. These are your 2 fresh ones you did on Thursday. Yeah. Do you want to grab out? Can you grab me that other one out there? And you've got the other one she did before. So this is the first time that Rachel's used them. What I'm going to say to you, if you know how to use ganache plates and a scraper, you don't need this kit. All right, this is for people like myself who can't get straight sides. I'm not being funny. Rachel, it's her job. She can knock out smooth sides all day long. But I asked her to do this for us because it's something she does. It's something she wants to try. And it's like, she'll talk to you in a minute. It's like there's other products out. I like the little roller. I didn't believe it worked, but it did work. You use the Pro Foster. She said it was a nightmare the first few times. It's like everything. When it's new, you have to learn how to use it and got to take your time. So when you say you follow things to the letter, you may well have missed a vital point. So what I want to show you is before Rachel came and did the live on Thursday, she did these 2 cakes first. And you may notice that the buttercream is off here because we didn't loosen the ruby chocolate. See, we all make mistakes. And then it came out a bit blobby. And Karen very kindly got it all off. Didn't you, Karen? I don't know how she got it off as smooth as the cake because I had to go in it and I was just digging at the chocolate. Pardon? Yeah, it was, because I was digging at it and it was like, oh, that's not coming off. And next minute Karen said, do you want it all off? I went, yeah. How did you get it all off?
I had the very thick mini palette knife.
Did you?
You can't think me mini palette knife.
I agree.
So you've made these 2 with dark chocolate, haven't you? Right, okay. So let me just show you these. Okay, so these were the very first 2. These were made with dark chocolate, okay? And Rachel's told us not to eat this one because this one's quite old. But when did you make this one? Did you make this one on the day?
No, those 2 were both made, like, well, that one was made as soon as you gave me the liner, so nearly 2 weeks
So are
ago.
these both old then? Because there's one you said we could eat, one you said we couldn't.
That one I said don't eat. That one I said you might get away with.
Right, okay, because the thing is I want to cut them in half so you can see the insides, and I want to do that. So these were done with dark chocolate pre the live on Thursday. So this is me ringing Rachel saying, Rachel, get up to the warehouse fairly rapid. I've got a kit for you to use. Is that how it went, Rachel? Because she only lives down the road. So she came up and I went, they are. And off she went. We had a little chat, my way, her way, and the actual way to do it. And so Rachel's gone off and done it both ways, which is why you can see there's 2 different sizes of cake. So she's done the 7-inch and the 6-inch. So I'm going to cut those in a second for you. And then on Thursday, she came back and did these. These are the milk chocolate cakes, okay? So this is done with milk chocolate ganache, which is not what you normally use yourself,
No,
is it?
Rarely, yeah.
But you know what? They're fine and they've come out absolutely lovely. So Rachel saw a few comments on social media yesterday and she said, Carol, will you just do me a favour? Will you take off the liners and see what they look like? So I went, yeah. So you can see it because John videoed it while I took them off. So that you can see that what they are, and they're actually here. And the only thing I did dint the cake, and I did point it. I dinted the cake because when I come to take the bottom of the pan off, the tin, instead of getting myself a little knife, what did I try and do? Dig it off with this thing. So I've got a little indentation there, sorry.
We'll fix it.
So we're not going to cut these in half, okay, because I want to donate them. You know that we donate things to different charities. So the charity has just contacted me this morning, and the last cake that they had for Ollie the Chalk went to a little girl. And they've asked me, they've got another one, a birthday this week as well, so they've asked me if I've got some cakes. So I don't want to cut those, but I'm going to get Rachel to cut these so you can see the thickness of the chocolate, okay? So we're going to concentrate on chocolate this morning, and Rachel's going to do white chocolate as well, so we're going to have a go at that. Then we're going to have a break, okay? And then she's going to come back and sugar paste this for you, because some of you seem to be engrossed in the fact that it's not shiny. Well, you've got to remember, you're not doing this for a shiny cake, you're doing it so you've got smooth sides, sharp edges, so that when you come to sugar paste your cake, you've got a beautiful cake. It was never about, it doesn't say anywhere on the instructions you will have a shiny ganache cake. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you seen it?
No.
No. Read your instructions. It doesn't say that. It says smooth sides, flat top. That's what it says. So we're going to do that. So we've got Rachel even covering the cake for you today. Now that's a bonus, isn't it? I worked hard on her, you know. She's got a busy day today. She's got all the brides going bonkers sorting the weddings out, and ended up committing herself coming here for you. So have we agreed? No questions until she
No, we've
does
got
the dance.
there's a lot of people. We've got a lot of people watching.
Oh, have we?
270.
How many?
270.
Oh, right, that's good for a morning session.
Let's get this out of the way. Quite a few congratulations, Granny.
Oh yes, my 9th grandchild. How lovely was that? So she went into hospital. She's not due till today, baby. So baby wasn't due today. By the way, we've got Lincoln with us as well. Hello, Lincoln. So yeah, she wasn't due till today. So she went in on Saturday to be induced, and anyhow, she arrived at 9:30 yesterday morning, and much bigger than Bella as well. So I don't know whether it's going to be my last grandchild, but it's my 9th. So I'm hoping I get to see her in 6 weeks when things are all lifted. Is it 4 weeks away before we can go and see anybody? I don't actually know what the rules are.
It's May. It's May before you can. It's when you can meet one other household in May. So at the moment, April's just when everything else, like the hairdressers and that open.
Well, the good news is Georgie Godbold is coming back.
Wow.
And she is coming back on the 17th of May. So it was going to be the 11th and 12th, but I forgot that I'm actually doing something for the British Sugarcraft Guild on the 8th. We've got Rachel Hannah on the 9th. Sorry, it's going to be the 10th and the 11th. And so we've had to move it back a bit. So I'm going to plan to drive down, see my new grandbaby in May, and then pick Georgie up on the way back and bring her here to do classes for you. So that's good as well, isn't it? So thanks very much. Really, very pleased.
Question. Someone's just asking me, if you could just answer this now, how do you pre-order the kits?
Go to the website, pre-order. Okay, so let's just give you an update on the kits. So we sold 565 kits. Okay, that's what we've sold. I'm quite open about it. It's not bragging or anything like that. We are 185 kits down off that order. So what's happened is 300 kits have gone. The rest of the kits are at customs, but we were waiting for them to arrive on Friday. The customs bill didn't come through. It came through on Saturday, so I was thinking we were going to get them today, but it seems we're going to get them tomorrow instead. And they will dispatch, and then we've got 185 sat waiting. And that's because of this little fella, this naughty little fella. And all his mates were in a parcel on the way to the supplier, Brigid's Cake Room, and somehow it's got lost. Nobody knows where it is, so they've had to order however many more they order. I don't actually know how many kits that they are. And then I've said, look, I don't want, because people are asking all the time, how can they order, how can they order? So I've now put 500, another 500 into stock, so there's plenty. And I've put a date there. So it does say pre-order, it does say read the product information. If you order anything else with it, it will be dispatched when these come in. They won't be two dispatches. Can't make it any clearer than that. When you see this demo today, you're going to want to buy one. I know you are. Rachel, this is her success of them, and this is her doing them straight away. I've actually done 3 cakes already. I've done 2 buttercream and a Swiss meringue for you, and I'm also going to do that this afternoon. So I'm not disappearing, leaving this all to Rachel. She at the morning session or the afternoon, so she's off at the morning session. Yeah, so no questions. Let's listen to what Rachel says, and we'll get on with it, and we can ask questions at the end. Yeah, and if we shut the door now, Lincoln will stop running in and out.
Special hello, our lovely Georgie's watching.
Oh, hello, Georgie. Do you want to give everyone a wave? Let them know you're back on the 17th. Fantastic. Good. Well, everyone's excited to have you back. I know they are, because they're like, when's she back? When's she back? Right. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to it. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Ready? Good. Right, I'll sit here. Does anybody know where my phone is? Oh, there it is. Perfect.
Hi everyone. Oh, it's been such a long time since I saw you all.
It seems like months.
Just last Thursday. So, to recap, we did these two on the live last Thursday, which were the milk chocolate. And I talked you through the dark chocolate as well. I know a couple of people have been asking, so I'm just going to remind you of the ratios that I've used for those, and then we'll get on to the white chocolate. So for the dark chocolates, this is the 6-inch cake. So I've done a 6-inch cake, and we did it two ways: one with the foam, one without the foam. Thank you, Lincoln.
Sorry, he's not going to move. He's going to stand next to you. You have to work with him.
It's Lincoln and I together on the live. So what we've done is we did the one we trimmed back and used without the foam, and one that we kept as a 6-inch cake and used with the foam. And for that I was using a 1:2 ratio of dark chocolate. So it was 700 grams of dark chocolate. Can you see him? His head popping
Lincoln,
up.
on your bed.
Nice little show there. Oh, he's staring at something outside. So we did 700 grams of the dark chocolate. So we used the Caliboo, I think it was like 70%-ish, wasn't it? And then we did 350 mils of double cream. On the milk chocolate, we did 800 grams of the milk chocolate, which I think we've got here, which is 33.6 we used %, and that's again, we've got some of that here, the Caliboo, you can see that, and 275 of cream. So with the white chocolate, we're going to do a 3:1 ratio. So we're going to be using probably about 900 grams of the white chocolate, which we've got here, which is the 28%, which is a really, really nice white chocolate. White chocolate, some of it can be a bit sickly. Personally, I find, like, I've got a sweet tooth, but some of the white chocolates out there that you can get are a little bit sickly for my palate. This is a really nice one. I would actually just eat this like the buttons we were doing the other day.
So just watch, he's made himself comfy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so going to fall over this dog. There's going to be an
He likes to get up and personal. I am sorry, but my dog is 12.5 years old. He's dealing with anxiety issues. And if anybody is new to the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen, do realise that these cakes just get given away to people who know what our situation is like. We don't sell them, and believe me, we've not had one person refuse a cake off us yet.
So we would do 900 grams of this to 300 mils of double cream. So that's all the ratios hopefully covered. I know a lot of people are like, what if this, what if that? So that's kind of what I've used. They're not set in stone. You can tweak. So I will have, for example, like a summer ratio and a winter ratio for my, I typically use white chocolate ganache. So they're not set in stone. If you put slightly more cream in or slightly more chocolate in, it just means your ganache is going to be slightly looser or slightly firmer. But the aim of this, because we are piping the ganache in and we're wanting it to freely flow within the perimeter of the actual liner, we want it to be nice and free flowing. We don't want it to be set. So in other ways of ganaching that you might have used or seen before, where we're wanting to make the ganache and let it firm up slightly, the benefit of this is that you can make it and use it straight away, because we're wanting it to be nice and free flowing and for it to get into all those nooks and crannies. So these two have actually, when they've come out the liner, you'll have seen from the demos on Brigid's Cake Room that they might need a little bit of touching up. I think it's the guy that did the
Mr. Baker Baked.
Mr. Baker's Cake.
Mr. Baker Cakes.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? Mr. Baker Cakes, is it?
I don't know.
Is he actually called Mr. Baker? He's called Mr. Baker.
It's Rob
Is he?
Baker, isn't
Yeah.
it? So it's
Mr.
Rob
Baker Cakes.
I thought he bakes.
Does
it matter?
Does it matter?
The confusion is real. So anyway, when he did it, you can see he did a few little touch-up bits. It is to be expected. So
Yeah.
you might get some that come out absolutely perfect, and you go, do you know what? I'm happy to cover that in sugar paste. There might be some where there's a few little gaps where perhaps the ganache or the buttercream hasn't quite got into all the nooks and crannies, and you might have a little gap that you need to touch up. So I will show you. I'm going to move these two dark ones out the way.
Can I just mention something? Yes, we have seen the square kit, and the square kit is on our website ready for pre-order. Now, I've already got my order in, but the girls haven't settled on what the price is going to be yet. They've got a few final bits to come in, and they haven't got the final price. As soon as they have, the square cakes will be on. We have seen the video. It's amazing. The girls have told us to share the videos on our own social media, and I will get that organised as well. So let me just see. Rachel, do you want that chocolate that you had the
And
other
also
day?
hello to everyone on YouTube.
there
Yeah.
as well.
Oh,
good.
good mornings.
And thanks, Debbie Hargrave. It's Mr. Baker's Cakes.
Honestly, we were like, Mr. Who? What? What?
Right. Do you know where the chocolate is that we saved the other day? It was in the bags.
In the piping
Yeah,
bags.
but just bend your knees.
Just so that we can put those back in the microwave for now.
So, just a reminder, this is the kit. So I have used for these, all of the 4 that you've just seen, I baked 6-inch cake, 4 layers of it. And the reason why we've got 2 different physically sized looking cakes is that one we trimmed back, we're using the lovely PME, is it cutters?
Yeah,
the cake
yeah.
cutters, which I am definitely ordering. So one we cut back and used it just in the 6-inch tins, that's this one, and one we didn't cut back and we used it in the 7-inch tin with the foam insert here. So if you didn't watch that on Thursday and you've no idea what I'm going on about, go back and watch that, because I showed both methods like Carol said, and you can do whichever one you want. It's totally up to you. If you don't have 7-inch tins, you can trim back and use your 6-inch tin. You don't need to be going out and buying all odd size tins. You can if you want to. So that's just a quick reminder of why we did that. But I will pop that up there for now.
Oh, is this the doggy
Visitor,
walker?
yeah.
Michael. No, it's your husband. Oh, right. Great. Thanks, John.
Has he
He's
seen that
becoming
I
a
was
pain.
close to having an accident? So better get in there quick before we need an
I did give
ambulance.
John his orders. He had to be back.
Okay, so the kit comes with the actual liner, which are obviously different sizes depending on what kind of size cake you're doing. We've got the clip it to secure it. You've got the...
Can you just show them that, Kevin, in the underneath camera?
Are we on the
So they
overhead?
get it. And can you show them the liner under the underneath camera?
Yeah.
And if you want it, it'd be a good idea. We haven't polished ours, but it might be a good idea that after you've washed it, to give it a polish, do not put anything in the dishwasher. They are not dishwasher safe, okay? I think what will happen is if you put them in the dishwasher, all your lines will come off. I think that's what will happen.
And that's it.
All right, so if you put them in the dishwasher, you'll have no logo, no lines, no nothing, just a clear piece of...
So it is nice and thick, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
really
nice
thick.
and sturdy. So it's going to hold all that ganache or buttercream that you pipe in. It's going to hold it in place. It's not going to start. You know, if you were trying to do this with like grease proof, it would just flop to the sides. So it's nice and sturdy. The clip it is, you know, I've washed mine like loads of times now. Just popped it in the sink. It's dead easy to, and it doesn't take up any space either. It's just another little thing that goes in the drawer. So what we are going to do is. Where am I not seeing that chocolate? Oh, the milk chocolate. Do you want me to just touch one of these?
Yeah. Do you want to remelt any of this, or
Yeah,
do you want to use
no,
fresh?
it's fine. I'll give it a melt and see
Right.
how it goes.
I've got
You know what? I might be your microwave. I'm like,
I've got new bowls there for you. Are you going to mix it now?
I'm going to just soften it in that to begin with, and then I'm going to pop it into a bowl just to,
Super.
because I'm going to. Oh, is there a little palette knife as well
Yeah.
for me to just pop some on?
Do you want just a normal standard?
Yeah, just a little 9-inch offset. It's my palette knife of choice, my weapon of choice.
So all future kits are ready for you to order. They'll be here within 4 weeks, okay? So if you want to pre-order them, grab them now. The square kits should be here as well, nearer the time, but she won't have many of those. So she is trying those out, and like I said, she doesn't have the price. But I think first of all, try your round ones first. I'm not a smooth side person, and I've got to be honest, I've made 3 cakes with this and had no issues. Of course I've had a few little holes, but I'm going to go through that with you this afternoon. And I've also put 2 in the freezer that I've done this morning.
Did you say there was a
Special
little
dark
bowl?
chocolate.
Oh, is there a little bowl I can just squeeze this into to
Yeah, yeah.
pull it out of?
Yeah.
Just give it a bit of a mix. Thank you. So I'm just using here, obviously I'm using a turntable for this because it's just easier than having to try and keep moving the cake round, and you can just inspect it a bit more easily. So I'm using a turntable here. I've got a plastic board on the bottom, or you can just use a spare cake board, and then I've got another piece of non-slip.
And then will you move it straight under the
Will, yeah.
the camera then?
So
So we've got a fantastic audience, 312 people
Oh,
watching the morning
amazing.
session. That's very good.
it is. I think everyone's having a day off after Mother's Day craziness of all the orders that they've
Yeah,
had
and a
going
restaurant
out.
making
I saw all the bouquets. There
Yeah.
were some amazing ones. I'm always in awe of things that I don't do, because like, you know, like I don't know, when it's stuff that you do all the time, you're just like, yeah. But then when it's stuff that you don't do, I'm always like, oh, it's amazing.
We've got Nikki King here, the Lincoln and Rachel show.
Yeah, exactly. It was like that. So I've just popped this. So this was it looks a bit awful, but this was the chocolate ganache that we made, the milk chocolate that was left over. So that was all there was in that piping bag. So I know it looks awful. So I've just warmed that up, and we're just going to pop it, spot it on with, and I'm going to use a scraper.
They're wondering if this is your second home now.
Oh no.
Rachel lives just down the road, to be fair, so it's quite handy.
I need my own parking spot soon.
Yes, I was going to say. And the plans I've got for her that she doesn't know about, I'm going to talk to her about afterwards. You might see a bit more.
I know there was people in my Facebook group that were laughing after Thursday, saying, "Love how she got you to do Monday." And I was like, they were howling because they were like, we could see you like swaying and swaying, like, and I was like, I didn't want to look her in the eye.
Yeah, we knew you wanted.
They were laughing. So
She was hard as ass. She said she's only used buttercream for covering cake as they last longer. How long would a cake last using ganache with fondant covering?
It will last a bit longer because once you've kind of covered it in the ganache and then the sugar paste, it's kind of airtight. So it's like having it completely protected and you know, protected from the air, which is what will start to make a cake go stale. The cakes don't go, they're not going to like go mouldy particularly easily, but they will stale and dry. So you can keep them at room temperature once they're covered in sugar paste and ganache, and that will kind of help extend the life. How long it will last will depend upon your own recipe. So some of my recipes will last longer than others because they're richer, they're more dense, they might have syrup drizzled into them, so it really varies depending upon the actual cake recipe itself, but it will extend the life of it, definitely. Okay, so I'm just going to spot dab some of this on. Now, Carol mentioned earlier, and it's important to cover because it's a good example of this. So this one here you can see has got quite a bit of sheen on it, whereas this one's more matte. The other one that we did at the same time, it was 2 different batches of ganache. We made them exactly the same way, in exactly the same bowl, using exactly the same equipment, the same materials. But what was different was we used 2 different liners. Now, I'm not an expert on chocolate, but it's important to kind of just address that because I know it's a bit of an added bonus. The sheen that you got, I think people were quite like surprised by it because it's not what you would typically see on a ganache cake foundation that you're then going to put sugar paste over.
This camera so they can see it. You're so fast, you're on it.
Got a lot to get through, Carol.
Yeah.
And you said
see how I got to sugar paste a cake for you as well.
I know, we were chatting yesterday and I was like, well, maybe I should just sugar paste one of them. And she's like, okay.
I know, and I didn't even ask you. You did
I know.
offer.
I need to just keep my mouth shut, don't I?
You did. So, ladies, don't forget, Rachel's done a fabulous class with us called Introduction to Wedding Cakes. Amazing. There was a massive turnout for it.
Oh, it was
and
great.
You can still join that class. You know, it's still there for you to watch. And anybody who's watched our past classes still do feel as though they're in a live class. Her next class is Introduction to Sugar Paste wedding cakes. Yeah. And that's going to be an amazing class. And she will be showing you how to ganache her way. She won't be using this because Rachel is a ganache plate person. She can get sharp edges. Or are you going to incorporate this in on the day now?
No, I don't think so, because I think we've covered it in this. I think it's, you know, we can...
By the time we do that class, they should all be smashing them out, shouldn't
Absolutely.
they? Yeah.
So I'm just spot dabbing where there's any holes. But you know what? This was actually, you would have been fine covering this as it was. But people just, you know, they want to see that it just takes a couple of minutes. And I would probably just, if I was just doing this on my own, it would have been done by now. I would have just, you know, cracked on and done it. But what happens is when if you've got any spot touching up to do, which invariably you will have the odd bit, whether you choose to do it or not, or whether you just think actually it'll be fine like that to put sugar paste on, that will also depend on how thinly you roll your sugar paste, because I roll mine quite thin, so I do want I want to make sure that there's no sort of dents or lumps or anything in my ganache. So, but if you're not rolling yours, like I roll mine sort of like 3 mils thick maximum type thing, so it's important for me to make sure that we don't have those lumps and bumps. But if you are doing any touching up, what I want to just say was, expect that as soon as you start scraping, either with a scraper or with a palette knife, you will lose that sheen that you might get on your cake. So when I've done like touch-ups on them, what I've ended up with on the dark ones was patches of sheen, and then patches where I've done a little touch-up or fill-in where I've used the scraper on it, and that has ended in a matte surface area. So no matter what other method of ganaching I've ever done in the past, so pre this system, I've always ended up with a matte finish to my ganache because I'm using a scraper on it, I'm using a palette knife on it, and I don't know the science behind it, and Ollie the Choc will probably be in a much better position to explain all that, because I'm not like I don't work with chocolate other than really for making ganache as a foundation, but there will be science reasons behind it, I'm sure. But whenever you start sort of popping a scrape around your cake, it will sort of leave you with a matte finish rather than a shiny finish. But you don't need that. The whole point of this system is to make it really quick and easy for you to get that sharp edge finish with the straight sides, no wonky sides, that lovely sharp edge top to it as a foundation for you to sugar paste your cakes, which is obviously what the next class that I'm doing is on. So if you are looking at doing that class, then mastering this foundation part of things is really key to your success of getting that fabulous sugar paste finish. That makes sense. So at that point you would just need to pop that back in the fridge, but because this cake has been chilled, obviously we've chilled it to the point at which it's set enough from Thursday. Obviously you wouldn't need to leave it over the weekend, you can just leave it overnight in a chilled fridge. Then because it's chilled already and quite cool, when you put this fresh ganache on it, that ganache will set quicker than the first lot did when you were working on just an ambient temperature cake, if that makes sense. So then you would just pop that back in the fridge, and then that should be ready after like an hour or so, depending on how cold your fridge runs, to then obviously do whatever you want to do on top of it. But it might be that you need to do quite a bit of touching up. It might be that you don't need to do much at all. For example, on this one, I'm just going to get another plastic board. On this one here, I remember doing this at the time actually. So we missed a little bit here, so you can just see the buttercream that's squidged out from the side of the cake there from layering it. So I remember this happening at the time.
I don't know if you needed this for your sharp edge.
Oh, thank you. Such a good assistant, Carol.
Right.
Always thinking. And then there's quite a lot of tiny little holes. Now they don't go right through to the cake, they're just surface level, and they're super easy to touch up if you wanted to. But what I wanted to share with you is that those ones there, particularly as you're working, you can help get rid of those by just tapping your tin on the worktop. So as you're filling the layers, you can give it a tap each time. Just, you don't need to be dropping it on the worktop, and I'll show you when we do the white chocolate one. Just to help sort of, gravity do its thing, and that will help sort of it will help you not have those tiny little surface level gaps and holes. But I don't know if you can see, I've got like random patches of shine, and this here is where I've put too much buttercream in between the layers, and as I've put the next layer of cake on, it's pushed the buttercream out into like that void where the ganache is going. So it's something to be mindful as you're filling, is to not go too close to the edge when you're putting that buttercream, when you're piping that buttercream in. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're covering that with sugar paste, it does not matter. You've got a solid structure. It doesn't matter. No. But for some people, if you're a perfectionist, you'll be like, oh, what is that? That's what that is. You don't need to worry about it. But if you are wanting to leave it as a ganached finish, you could easily just take the tip of a little sharp knife and just dig that out and fill it back in with ganache if it bothers you.
Karen and I would be over the moon.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, like, it depends where you're at with what you're trying to achieve, doesn't it? And like, if it does bother you, and like, I just wanted to explain what that was and what in the process had caused that to happen. But yeah.
I was trying to explain to the ladies last night, I've never had a sharp edge, straight cake in my life. I have on dummy cakes, but never on a real cake.
Yeah.
So for me to be able to get it is amazing, especially with the buttercream and the Swiss meringue, which I have achieved, and I've been really pleased with that. And there's been faults with that, so I want to go over those today and learn some more faults. And I think some ladies are expecting to put this in and have it absolutely super perfect. You are going to get little holes in it, and they just need tidying up. It's fine. Look at it. It's easy.
And do you know what the thing is, like, when you're learning anything for the first time, like Carol said earlier, when I first used the Pro Frosser, I was like, oh my god, nearly threw it across the room. I couldn't get on with it at all. And I used it once and it got chucked in a cupboard, and it was only when I kept seeing other people like raving, like saying, oh, it's changed their lives, I thought, okay, I'll give it another go. And sometimes you just need to give things a couple of little goes, but that's why we're like showing you here what we've already learned in a short space of time, that hopefully those little things that we've picked up already will help you get a much better result much quicker. But yeah, it is, you know, it's not going to be necessarily perfect the first time you use it, but what it will do is make ganaching, I know a lot of you are scared of ganaching, you're scared of ganaching plates, you have no idea how to sort of, you know, construct them together with your cake. So for some of you, ganaching plates are like super scary and not something that you want to be doing. And I totally get that, but it just gives you another option that is definitely quicker. I mentioned the other day, one of the things that I loved about it was that you are doing the two messiest jobs in one go, so that you're only creating one, not a mess, which
I think you were amazed how clean your section was, wasn't it?
And I can work quite cleanly, but I don't always. It depends how much of a rush I'm in, and you know how many other things I'm trying to juggle at the same time. But for me, thinking about my process of a typical sort of week of weddings, I would bake on one day, and then the next day, if I'm ready to buttercream, like if I'm free to buttercream first thing, I'll do that first thing, crumb coat, pop it in the fridge. I'll then make my ganache, which then typically, not using this system but using alternative systems, I would then have to leave it to firm up enough to that peanut butter Nutella consistency. And during that time, my crumb coated cakes would be in the fridge firming up, and I'd have to clean down, maybe because I use my own kitchen at home, and maybe have lunch and then clean that down and then come back to it, and then start ganaching and create another set of mess, which then needs another set of cleaning. And it's just, it's taken up, it's kind of like stretched over the course of a whole day, rather than being able to just get them all done in the course of a morning, get them in the fridge, know that all that mess is tidied up, and I can crack on with other stuff.
Do you think that some of the people who've had issues, they've treated it like ganache and let it firmed up a little bit too much?
Yeah, I have.
And
I know I've
missed
seen.
The point that it's got to be very loose.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Like looser than I'm used to using it, definitely. I do think that might be the case. So some of the pictures that obviously, because Caroline were talking about it yesterday, and obviously we've been keeping an eye on, like some of the you know, people that have tried it already, that have like already got their kits, and some of the sort of feedback that's coming back on it. And definitely on some of them you can see like the ganache hasn't gone where it needs to be, beyond the point of just not tapping it. It's like the ganache was probably a bit too thick to begin with, or it perhaps was a bit too grainy or something like that, which is going to stop it going like flood. It's almost like, I don't know if any of you used to using royal icing, but it's almost like the difference between royal icing consistencies. Different consistencies will behave completely differently and will allow you to do different things with royal icing. So if you're like piping cookies or anything, you'll have a different thickness of royal icing around the edge of your cookie to like flooding your cookie. Your royal icing isn't going to do what you need it to do on a flooding technique if you haven't got it liquid enough. So it's similar to that kind of
that brings me up to a good question then, because the lady's just asked me, can you ganache in between layers? And I was just saying to her then, it's got to be a different consistency to this outside ganache, because otherwise, if you use the same ganache as this, you're just going to have a big hard chocolate chunk in the middle. So it has to be even softer, and I don't think some ladies have got that either.
No, so if any of you that have done from my class, I know some of you went on and bought the Buttercream and Ganache Basics PDF that I've got. There's different recipes in there of ganache for different purposes, so different ratios. There's like flavours and stuff as well on there, but if you are filling a cake with ganache, it's a different consistency to what you would use. This is structural. So what we're trying to achieve here is structural. What you would put in a cake needs to still be nice to like eat as part of the cake.
It'll be soft, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you don't want it to be hard.
You don't want to have a piece of sponge and then bite on a hard bit of chocolate.
Yeah.
And I think when they're saying, if they need to watch that if they're using this ganache, it's not this ganache that goes into the centre of the cake.
No. So you would make two different ratios, and then obviously have in one piping bag, just like I did the other day. I had one piping bag with my buttercream. You'd have one piping bag with your softer ganache and one piping bag with this. They're both going to be soft at the time of you using them, but the other thing to remember is this is going to be potentially be a bit confusing, but it is important. So there's a difference between what ratio you use and how soft it is at the time you use it. Okay, so no matter what ratio you use, ganache is always going to set from when you make it. It's always going to then set up and firm up from the point at which you melt it and make it. So even though the ratio for the ganache on the outside is going to be a firmer ganache ratio, so more chocolate to cream, you need it to be much softer at the time of using it for this technique than you would do it in the middle, because we want it to be pourable almost. What you don't want for the one in the middle is for that to be pourable, because we need that to be a little bit firmer at the time of using it, so like a buttercream consistency, so that when you're stacking the layers of cake on it, all that ganache isn't super loose and isn't just squidging out the sides, because then all you'll end up is loads of ganache at the sides and nothing between each of your layers, and a much shorter cake than you'd expected. So there's a difference between the ratio of ganache that you make for what you need, and the point at which you then, the point of firmness at which you then use it. So you're wanting your filling ganache to be a bit firmer at the point you use it, so leave that for a little bit to firm up, but the outside stuff, we want to use that as soon as we've made it. Does that make sense? It is confusing, but if you try and fill your cake with ganache that's straight out the microwave, it won't stay in the middle of your cake. As you put your layers on, it will just squidge.
Well, we've got Cicely on here. She says, well, I'm just excited of having a sharp edge.
Exactly. That's the point of this system.
I was trying to say that in yesterday's comments, that my whole look for the 5 years I've been doing Sugar and Crumbs Facebook Lives has been rustic. And the reason it's been rustic is because I can't get a sharp edge. And you know what? Whippy woo to everybody you can, but I can't. And I'm not being nasty about that. I have to go live all the time, and I have to tell people why I have a rustic cake, because I can't do a sharp edge.
Yeah.
So when the comments were coming in yesterday of the people saying, well, if you use ganache plates and a scraper and it's easy, well, yes, it's easy once you've learnt that method.
Yeah,
but I've been taught that method and I still can't do it. So if I can find another option of doing it, then I will. I've been on classes everywhere, done them, come out, can't do it again.
I have students, so in my typical my sort of introduction in-person classes, which we're doing pre-COVID, I would do a basics class, which is a one-day class, and you would get taught how to ganache and fill ganache sugar paste like a 6-inch round cake. So everything, the stuff that we're working on here. Now, some people, I would teach a specific technique. So I typically would use the Pro Frost on that because it's quicker than ganaching plates. But I know some people that just can never get away with that technique and would much prefer to use a different technique. It's the same with sugar pasting. Some people like my method, some people like flipping their cakes upside down, doing the upside down method. There are different methods available, which is brilliant, and all this is another option available to you, which is brilliant.
Like the lunatics on the road, isn't there? There's some that drive safely, some that drive fearlessly.
Yeah, I guess.
But there's a different option.
You're not going to hurt anyone with cake unless you throw it at them or something. Can you imagine?
No, but I'm just thinking, when we all learn things,
yes,
you know, some things we grasp better than others, don't we? You know, I can put Russian flowers on cupcakes all day long, but other people struggle.
See, I've never done that, so mine would look a right mess.
What are you looking for now?
Scales. I had them before.
Scales,
and I think
get some out of that cupboard there.
this one.
They're not all out, are they? They're there? Yeah.
I'm mad. I thought I had some. So yeah, please don't be worrying about, you know, getting the sheen or getting a perfect finish every time or the first time. It's just not. It's a new thing, and this is, you know, if you've never used ganache before and you're not used to like filling cakes and things like that, you've got a lot to be focusing on in one go. So this is like 2 steps in one go. So if you're completely new to it, you're gonna, every time you do it, you're gonna learn something new, just like if you were doing it in 2 separate stages. So white chocolate.
So you're going to cut your foam.
Am I gonna? Yes, I will. I'm just gonna get this on the go first.
So the reason we were late, ladies, is because we couldn't find all the kits. And I was having a fit. So Rachel had 1 kit, Karen brought a kit, I had 2 kits, we got 2 biscuit kits, and it all became a bit manic that we were about to go live and we didn't have a kit, and I've got 2 in the freezer.
We were like, hang on a minute, what's in the freezer? What's in? We were like opening up boxes like mad women. Like,
then we couldn't find the foam, and it looks like that I've chopped up Rachel's foam.
Oh, dare she? So rude.
So it was a bit manic, so sorry that we were live. So let's go through this nice and slow. So this is for the chocolate for the outside of the cake.
Yes, so we're going to use buttercream to layer, and we're just like you would most typically do. And then we're making a white chocolate ganache for the outside. So I am using a 3-to-1 ratio. So I'm using, I think it depends what size cakes we're doing. So we're doing, that's a 7-inch, so we're going to have a 6-inch cake in there, aren't we? The other day we were using under a kilo's worth. So I'm going to use I'm going to do 2 different batches on this because I think we might end up using it on a second cake anyway and touch-ups and stuff. So I'm going to do it in 2 batches because these bowls aren't big enough for me to do 1 big batch.
So let me tell you what else we're going to do today. We are going to do all the coverings today, and then we're going to come back, get them all out the fridge tonight, do the big reveal. Are you coming back tonight?
No, I'm not coming back tonight.
We're going to do the big reveal tonight, and then we're going to put them together and decorate them.
So in this first one, I'm doing 450 grams of the white chocolate, and we're doing 150 mils of cream. I have to remember that this microwave is a lot more powerful than my microwave. Last time I just nuked it.
I've done that at home as well. This microwave here is more powerful than the one I've got at home.
It's mega, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you bake 8-inch cakes, then you do need to buy a 9-inch kit.
So we're using the foam on this one, which I'm going to trim back, which means that we don't need to trim the 6-inch cake back at all. We can just use it straight as it is.
And do you always use double cream, Rachel?
You can use double or whipping. Yeah. Don't ask me about Elmley and stuff like that because I've only ever used real cream, rather than like the Elmley and stuff like that. So I can't. I'm sure other people will have advice to give on that, but I just don't. I've never used it, so I don't know. Okay, so we're just giving that a little bit of a stir to make sure nothing's sticking on the bottom of the bowl. So you can see here this line is a bit big, so we're going to mark where it needs to be and just give it a little trim. Sod's law, I've got a purple pen for the purple liner. It's fine.
For all the ladies watching, Debbie Hargreaves says Elmley works in the same way.
Oh, good. Thank you, Debbie. It always comes up, and I'm always like, I don't know, I've never used it. I should just try it, but it's just another thing to
It's
get.
just apparently just a different taste than other ladies said, but it works great.
Oh, okay.
So it's good.
So you can see in here we've got our liner that comes with the kit. So this is the 7-inch tin. This is the 7-inch kit. So it comes with a liner that should fit perfectly in the base of your tin. And it is a loose bottom tin that I'm using. I know there was a question on one of the threads the other day about, do you need a loose bottom tin? You can use the, what are the ones with the clips on the side? What are those?
The spring form.
Spring form, yeah, that's it. You can use those as well. So I'm going to be using a Genoese from Sweet Success, which I've never used before.
No. Well, Karen and I was that busy last week that I didn't have the heart to say to Karen, can you bake some cakes?
The amount you've used it, I think I'd have been working all weekend.
I know. I've made 4 6-inch cakes for this recently, no 3, and I was like, just churning out the same tins over and over. It's like brilliant. It's a nice sized cake actually, I think, 6 inch. It's good.
I'm going to run off because my son is going to show me the new baby.
Oh.
So, just a minute.
That's definitely more important than this.
Absolutely.
Hiya. Just give me a minute while I run out the kitchen, yeah? Oh, we've got the new baby. Can I show everybody else? There we go. Let me just see. Let me show everybody else the new baby. So there she is. There she is. I can see under the camera there. I don't know if you can see her there. There's our new baby. Can you see it?
Yeah, there you go.
You see her? She's fast asleep, Ryan. So this is our new baby. This is the first time I've actually seen her. Oh, I've lost the connection. Oh, try and come back, Ryan. Oh, there we are. Sorry to intrude on your Facebook Live, Rachel.
It's all right.
But
oh, look at her.
so I was just wanting. Ryan's rang me a couple of times. Have we got it on there?
Yeah.
Can you see it? So sorry, everybody. I didn't know Ryan was going to ring me, so I was just trying to text him to say I'm on a Facebook Live. But you know what? You may as well see her. So welcome to Sophia Parker Stafford. So I'm going to run outside now and have a little chat and let you get on with this. All right then.
Yeah.
Right.
Enjoy.
Hiya.
Now Helen says, Rachel, I thought we used plastic bowls for ganache. I might be wrong. Does it matter if you use a plastic or a glass bowl?
I prefer glass or porcelain. So back up when I did the Ganaching live, which was January, I talked through that. Now I know everyone's different, but my personal experience with white chocolate ganache, because there's a lot of fat in it. There's, well, not fat, but oils. That I found that the instances where it would split were far more common when I was using my plastic bowls than it was with my glass bowls. Now plastic will cling on to grease and oils. Even though you've given it a good clean, it sometimes clings onto that more and glass doesn't. So if you think it's similar to like if you're whipping egg whites, so they always say to try and use a glass bowl or like a metal bowl. Obviously you can't put metal in the microwave. So they just don't cling on to grease or like residual stuff if you've been using them for buttercreams and stuff like that. Sometimes, even though I've given them a good wash, sometimes you run your finger over it, you can still feel that it's almost absorbs into the plastic a little bit. And I think that might be why, but also I don't know for sure. Again, there'll be some scientific reason behind it. It's just my own experience that when I was using the plastic bowls, this hardly ever splits. I know I split some in Carol's microwave in January because it's super hot, but I have students that follow this method following my professional basics class, and they say, you know, I've been able to do it for the first time, and white chocolate ganache has always been a nightmare. So I think particularly for the white chocolate recipes, I've found that this is a lot more consistently sort of foolproof. I also think it heats up differently glass heats up differently to plastic. And the thing I like about this is that you don't need to absolutely nuke your ganache, because the glass will hold the heat of the microwave. So it even like when you take it out the microwave, the bowl itself is still helping that ganache and all the chocolate chips melt, if that makes sense. But if you have success with your plastic bowls, there's no right or wrong. It's just my own experience where I was getting quite frustrated when I was using the plastic ones. And then when I moved to the glass ones, I was like, it just doesn't seem to happen as much, that I have like dodgy batches, if that makes sense. So I'm just doing the second half of this batch. And again, you can do this in one batch if you want. It's just that it gets a bit more tricky to stir it all in these size bowls because you get a bit close to the top. So I've got 450 of chocolate, 150 of cream, and I think I took maybe, I'm doing it in blasts of 30 seconds in this microwave, but at home I would be doing 45 to 50 seconds, just because mine's not as powerful a microwave as Carol's. So again, just depending upon what you'll have to just kind of gauge your own microwave on that. but that's what I'm doing on this microwave. Two and a bit blasts of 30, and at home I kind of can do 2 blasts of like 45 to 55, depending on how cold everything is.
Sorry about singing on your line there.
That's all right.
You get your nanny fix then, your granny fix.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he was going to phone, and I dinked him once, and he rang back again, and I felt really bad dinking him. So.
What do you mean dinking him?
Got him off.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
What, dinking?
I dink.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Me and you dink.
What's a dink?
So we dink 'em.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, when somebody comes. But he rang once or twice. I think I missed one. And then he rang again, so I dinked him, and then he rang again. I thought, I really need to answer this. Yeah.
So even though I've made that, I'm obviously now still faffing with cake and buttercream and stuff. So what you might need to do, because we talked earlier about the ganache needing to be really loose, so I might just give it another quick blast before I pop it into the piping bag and get ready to use it. Because you want it to be, obviously we've melted it as ganache. You could make this the day before if you wanted to, and then just re-melt it back to runny consistency when you're ready to use it. So you don't need to do this all in one.
Can I just stop a few things? It may well have been answered this question. As a lady who says, Sue Burgess, I normally bake 8-inch cakes and pre-ordered an 8-inch cake. Has that question been answered? Yeah. You've not ordered the wrong cake. Don't worry, there's another way of doing it.
Yeah.
And if you watch Thursday's live, there's 2 ways of using this kit. So it's basically for 2 sizes. You don't need to swap. You just do it without the purple liner, that's all.
So I need to do these. I need to slice these, don't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you making one without the liner now?
I'm making one with the
Oh,
liner.
with the liner,
Yeah.
you're doing with the liner. Yes. So if you've ordered, if you make 8-inch cakes and you use 8-inch, if you make 8-inch cakes and you bought an 8-inch kit, you do not worry. You cut it down. It's only the same as making 9-inch cakes in a 9-inch tin. You cut it down. Or you can use an 8-inch cake in a 9-inch tin and you use the purple liner. If that made sense.
There's another question I was going to ask later on about the liners. Somebody said they'd ordered a 9-inch kit and they realise now they should have ordered a 7-inch kit. Can they cut their plastic liner down? Would it be okay?
I wouldn't if I was you. I would speak to Brigid's Cake Room and ask them for their advice. And do remember, these are not to go in the dishwasher, they are wipe clean, okay? So they're not to go in the dishwasher, they are to wipe clean. I've seen some lady has been running hers under boiling hot water, I'm not quite sure why. I can only think her water must have been absolutely red hot because she's managed to warp her liner.
Oh my god!
But it is. I mean, I'm not being funny. It's not a hard plastic bowl. This stuff. It's a liner.
Yeah, I imagine it would warp if you put really
Yeah.
scalding boiling water over it.
So what I've told that lady is to roll it up as tight as she possibly can.
Yeah.
Get the elastic band round it and leave it like that for a week or 2. See how it goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't put in the dishwasher.
Always worth asking.
It does say on the back of the box, care instructions. Wash in warm, soapy water, not suitable for a dishwasher. Do not use in the oven, right? So it's not meant for anything hot. So they have put it on there, right on the back of the box.
It's
wash
plastic.
in warm, soapy water over the top. It is, yeah.
You'd think it would be like common sense, but sometimes things just elude us, don't they?
Sometimes we just don't think. We get excited about stuff and we just don't think.
And do you know what? I put as much as possible in my dishwasher. I like shove all I can in my dishwasher. But yeah,
Well, I've got to be honest. Mine nearly went in the dishwasher. Only I couldn't be bothered fathoming that how to wind it round.
to be honest, it would have just pinged open.
Yeah.
Like,
But please don't put it in the dishwasher. That's why there's instructions on. So with your kits, the way that we're showing you is Rachel's. How many cakes are you going to do today for us? 1 or 2?
depends on timing, because
Right.
we're going to obviously try and get one sugar pasted.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we're doing for time, I guess.
Well, I've got all day of you.
No, I haven't. I'm going to have brides screaming at me. I'd quite happily just do this all day, but I've got to go and send some pesky emails, unfortunately.
Well, listen, I'm going to be doing 2 ways later on. So, I won't be using the later on. Won't be using the liner later on. But I'm going to be doing it with the Swiss meringue buttercream and with the normal buttercream. So those of you who think you've got a bigger pan or whatever, you'll see the way that I do it. And it works.
The McFarlane
Rachel's done 2. She's going to be cutting these cakes in half. Any other 2 sizes, all done with the same tin. So it works.
Because I know some people are sort of saying, "Oh, that seems like a lot of ganache," but it's no more thick than when I've used my ganaching plates. So it's when we measured them, didn't we? We measured them the other day, and it's the same. Like the void is the same as what, you know, your end cake is the same as if you'd used a 6.5 inch ganaching plate, which is what I would use. So,
and you've also got to think that, you know, if some of the ladies had, I saw one lady and it was really thick, but we don't know how small she cut down her cake. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing, you know, she could have stuck an inch off each side for all we know.
The one we trimmed down was
half an inch.
It was just under, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there was like a little bit more, because Simon was like, "That looks like a big gap," and I was like, but then when we did it with the foam, it looked similar. I think it looked bigger on camera than it was in real life. So I was like, really? So it's fine to me. Okay, so remember, obviously we've made that ganache, and I'll come back and just reheat that before it goes in the piping bag to make sure it's nice and loose. But we're just having a faff on here with the cakes to get them ready. Karen's made me some lovely buttercream, so I'm just going to get that ready. So I've just got a normal nozzle, just a big round nozzle, but you don't need one if you don't want one. You can just, you know, snip off the end of your piping bag.
So those who want to know about milk chocolate, we did a live on Thursday night. I can't go through milk chocolate, we'll be here forever. Rachel did a 2-hour session on Thursday night all on milk chocolate. So we've been asked to do white chocolate today, and that's why I got Rachel back. Okay?
Never find anything like that. There we go. So yeah, white chocolate is typically what I would use on my wedding cakes, because under paler sugar paste, it doesn't have any sort of adverse effect on the sugar paste if you're rolling it thin. It enables you to really roll the sugar paste nice and thin without sort of being able to see any sort of dullness or darkness of like a dark chocolate ganache. But I know some people that do not like white chocolate ganache and will absolutely put the darker or the milk underneath.
How can you not like white chocolate ganache? It's gorgeous.
Some people just don't.
I think it's nice with Calico chocolate, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I think normal white chocolate, I don't like it.
That's what I was saying before. Like,
it's a bit funny.
Even I have a sweet tooth, and even like I would never usually, you know, like when you're at the supermarket, I would never usually pick up white chocolate based treats. I would always go for like milk to dark. But yeah, I'd quite happily eat some of those white chocolate Calais, and have eaten many of them. Yes. Far too many, actually. Okay, so this is just a normal, like standard buttercream, so it's just butter and icing sugar, isn't it? I don't know whether you've just used a standard ratio, just like a 1 to 2.
Yeah. It's not been loosened, this, I think.
But it's
With a little bit of water,
yeah. So if it's nice, if it's freshly whipped up, you won't need to like warm it or anything like that, unless your butter is super cold to begin with. If your butter's really cold, or if you've got it straight out the fridge, I would pop it in the microwave before you try and make the buttercream anyway, because you do want this nice and pipeable. It's like that fine balance between it going squidging everywhere and being really soft, and being able to kind of hold its own when you put the next layer of cake on. There we go. So the key to this is getting all your different components ready, because once you're ready to go, you're just going to want to like crack on, get each of the layers done, and that's where it kind of comes together quite quickly. What you don't want to be doing is start doing something and then be like, oh, haven't got that, or I haven't got that, and stopping, because once you start getting that ganache in your piping bag or in your squeezable tube, you need to be using it. Okay, so
the ratio for buttercream, it's standard buttercream 2 to 1. So 250 grams of butter, 500 grams of icing sugar.
So we've prepped our cake, we've got it sliced and ready to go, and whether you're trimming that back, get all that done beforehand. We've made the buttercream, or Karen has. We've popped it in the piping bag, ready to go. We've got our tin ready, we've got the liner in it, we've trimmed our foam, we've got our liner ready. So with the liner...
And can I just stop then? This is a 7-inch tin with the liner, with the purple liner, with this liner, with a 6-inch cake. So 7-inch tin, 6-inch cake, okay? And that's with using the purple liner. So if you've got a 6-inch tin and a 6-inch cake, you're just cutting your cake down with a cutter, which I'll be doing this afternoon with you.
And I did show on Thursday as well,
Yes.
so you can go back and watch that if you wanted to. So if your liner is brand new, this is really important to do because when I spoke to the team at Brigid's Cake Room, obviously these liners are cut from like big sheets of plastic and then obviously printed. So they are, that's obviously they roll them up and pop them in the boxes, but we know that they're like hand to mouth with their stock at the moment. Yeah. So they haven't been wound up like this for very long, and what you need to do is try and like make them feel like go more naturally round into your shape. I didn't say that very well, but you're trying to just kind of say, look, what I want you to do is not be flat, I want you to be round. So you're just giving it a really nice squeeze, paying particular attention so I don't let it go all in one and it doesn't hit me in the face.
So basically, don't throw your box away, don't throw your elastic band away,
keep
roll it back up as tight as you can afterwards.
So store these rolled if you can, but pay particular attention to those ends, because where the ends are is where it's going to cross over and you're going to have a double thickness of liner. So if you haven't rolled this and you've got that double thickness there, it's going to really want to stay straight at that stage, and what we want to do is making sure it's round and following the shape of your tin. So you mustn't skip that,
because that's happened on my last 2 cakes because I didn't roll my liner.
So you mustn't skip that step, and I'm now in the habit of just doing it anyway before I do it anyway, just for, you know, peace of mind. So I just give it a quick roll and pay particular attention to those end bits. The other thing that we talked about the other day was, earlier on, was the difference between the sheens. So if you are wanting to try and get a sheen on your chocolate ganache, if that is important to you, then you saw my 2 before. One was the 2 milk chocolate ones, one had a much higher sheen than the other. Use 2 different liners. It might be that you've just got some, you know, it might be some fats from your hands from doing the buttercream stage or handling the cake. Just give it a quick wipe, make sure there's nothing, no like residual grease or anything on there, because even just coming off your hands from like I've just been handling the buttercream and the cake, there's oils and grease and fats in them that could transfer. Now that will help, I think, give you, like, increase your chances of getting that nice sheen. But like I said before, it's not, the product hasn't been designed for that, but it is something that a few of you are asking about, so.
Sorry, we're just getting our brews all.
No, you can't.
Would you like a brew?
No, I'm all right, thank you. I've got water,
Terry?
thanks.
I'm making a one.
Oh,
thank
you.
That's service, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, we're happy here making brews.
So you can see how that is overlapping and it's nice and round. It's not sitting straight. And the very first time I used this and I just kind of went, oh, how does this form together? Popped it in, and this bit was obviously wanting to be a bit more straight because it's double the thickness and it's more resistant and wanting to kind of stick to the shape it was originally manufactured in. So the girls at Brigid's Cake Room do say that you need to do that. They give that, it's on the instructional video, isn't it, at the very beginning? But I checked in with them as well, and they said, yeah, you just give it an extra kind of roll, particularly at those ends where these 2 bits are overlapping. So pop your clip it on, dead easy.
When you see my cakes come out the freezer, you'll see that I didn't do that because I wasn't paying attention.
But you'll see the difference, and you get this straight. And I brought one in last week, didn't I?
Oh, mine, you told me last week.
I tried to tell it, because the first one I did, even though I give it a quick roll when I first got it because it was fresh out the box, I give it a quick roll, but it just, I then checked in with the team at Brigid's, and they said you need to give it more of a roll than you have done, and then it's you can see it's much better now. So yeah, just make sure you don't skip that step. Okay, so we've got our liner ready. Okay, this is it. So whether you're using the foam or not, you need to obviously have your non-stick liner in the bottom, foam if you're using it or not, and then obviously get this rolled, get it clipped into place and ready to go. So now we've got all our component parts ready. We've got our cakes cut to size. We're not going to be stopping and cutting the lids off these. So I tend to bake mine in 4 different tins. So I would have had 4 different lids to cut off those. I'm not stopping and doing that in between. I want it all ready to go, and that's really important. Don't be like trying to do it really piecemeal. You need to have everything prepped. So think like how Delia preps cookery shows, like she has everything weighed out, ready to go. So I am going to soften this a little bit, just to make it runnable. Is that a word? Runnable? Yeah. Runny? I think I'm making up words. You know what I mean.
Add that onto the dictionary.
Yeah, I make up words all the time. So I was questioning this morning whether ganaching is a word because
I know.
I put a post on my Facebook
I
group.
don't think it is a word.
I don't think it is.
I use it, Ganaching.
I think you're just supposed
It's
to
a new verb.
yeah.
To ganache.
So I put it on a post on my Facebook group this morning to say, oh, we're doing this today, and like if you missed it on Thursday, come and join us, blah blah blah. And on my laptop it auto corrects it to gnashing.
Yeah. No, mine does as
I didn't
well.
notice, and
Yeah.
one of the ladies was like, I'm excited for the gnashing demo, and I was like, yeah, you should be. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't help
No,
it, it
it's
just
not a
auto
word.
corrects.
It's not a word.
Brigid uses it though.
Yeah.
I
It's on the
think
box.
I think if you're in that world, you know exactly. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't sound strange at all.
I'm
But-
ganaching again.
Yeah, I don't know how else you would
So
say
then
it.
Add that in the
Going to
dictionary.
Ganache again.
Oh, it was the time.
Huh?
It was the time to say that. It's a much
know.
longer sentence.
I like Ganaching.
But yeah, I was like, I'll just. But on my phone, when I'm typing it, it's fine because it's used to me saying that on my phone. But yeah, on my laptop, it's like, did you mean gnashing? No, I didn't.
That comes after.
Yeah.
So Kim's panicking, Kim Jameson. She's ordered the wrong size. She thinks she's ordered the wrong size. So she's ordered 7, 9 and 11. But she wants to cut the cakes down, so she said she's thinking of ringing the office, but if she holds on, you can show her how to make.
Yeah, just hold on. Don't ring them. Just tell me what your normal cake size is that you bake.
10, 8 and 6.
Well, then that's fine. Your pan's absolutely fine.
What
You
she
don't need
what
to
she
cut it down.
bought?
She normally bakes 10, 8 and 6.
6, but she doesn't have 7, 9 and 11 inch tins.
Oh,
I think
you
she's bought a 10 and 8 and a 6 kit, and that's the size. That's fine.
Yeah. You have to cut down your cakes for when you ganache them with ganache plates anyhow. So, or you buy the ganache plates half an inch bigger. They'll be fine. They'll do both sizes. Don't worry. I've got an 8-inch cake here. This is an 8-inch one, and I'm going to use this on the live later. And I'm going to cut my cake down. So this is the 8-inch one, and I think this is a 9-inch liner.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 9-inch liner and an 8-inch tin.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So you can either pop your ganache into the squeezy tube, the squeezy bottle that comes with the kit, or you can.
Somebody's just asked that. Are you going to use the squeezy bottle?
I'm not. I just much prefer. I never
You're
use.
used to a piping bag, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
I
Not
think
gonna
if you're
lie.
used to a piping bag, I'd probably stick with the piping bag.
Yeah.
But it's handy to have the squeezy bottle because any ganache that's left over, pop it in the squeezy bottle and then you can pop it into the fridge and save it.
Yeah.
I was looking after the camera person.
Right, cake.
I had a bit of spare.
You have a bowl of cake cups.
You're all animals.
No,
We all
eating
do
cake
it.
here. The birds have been fed.
I'm gnashing now.
Gnashing going on.
The
Okay.
birds are fed. Karen and I got cake and now Terry's got some.
I'll sit round.
So we've just lined the bottom of that with a layer of ganache. I always struggle with a piping bag this big because I've only got little hands.
Nearly as big as you,
I
Rachel.
know, I can never squeeze it enough. And I'm always like, ugh. That's not because the buttercream's not soft, it's because I've got tiny little wrists. Puny.
So Wayne, who's watching from Australia, hi Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
So what he was saying is they did a very similar thing with a liner in Australia. I mean, it's not a new idea, this, by the way. I mean, Brigid Cake Room, she's been using a biscuit liner for years. I mean, I can find back on her Facebook page, right back to 2017, this exact liner. But she was just using it for a chocolate biscuit cake, and then somebody said, how about using it for ganaching? And that's when she's come up with the idea. So, you know, so it's not a new idea, this, but Brigid hasn't thought of it. It's come out a long time ago. And we've got photo evidence of that as well. But Wayne from Australia is just saying that when he was in catering college, he used a similar liner, but once it warped and you wanted it to go back, you have shrunk the edge and warped it out of shape. So but basically he's saying, do what I said, roll it back up as tight as you can, and then hopefully it'll go back into shape.
Yeah, but that's only if you warp it. I mean, if you're just washing it in normal washing up.
Well, we've had a lady who's
water.
washed hers in boiling hot water,
Yeah.
and hers has warped.
You don't
So,
need to be using boiling
yeah,
water.
so do read the packaging.
Just normal washing up water, you know?
Yeah.
That's fine.
And when some people have just asked, when you take it out of the box, would you wash it? Well, I've wiped it clean with a clean cloth.
They do come with a protective film on,
Yeah.
so you've got to remember to take that off. I know a lot of people are saying, "Did you take the protective film off?" You know, when people have struggled to get the stuff off.
Anyway, we're glad that you're all here watching. So we're 347 people watching.
Yay.
So can I ask, as you are using a much runnier ganache, does it eat the same?
Yeah.
Does it eat the same ganache when it's rested and creamier? It eats better. I'm just worried about the texture of ganache. But we're going to chop open a cake afterwards and you see. So this is actually a much quicker way than what, like Rachel said, when you make ganache normal you have to let it rest. This we're not letting it rest, and in fact we're reheating it as well to make it looser. I never thought we should have coloured this ganache, shouldn't we?
I know. But we're trying to keep it simple for people so that you can just focus on the actual technique.
Yeah.
Whoop. Coming out already, look, this is the problem. This is when you need a little clip-it or something. A normal clip-it, not one of these clip-its. So we're just, obviously, as we're going, we're just adding the ganache in around the edge. Actually might need a bit more ganache than this, but we
Do
can...
you not just push it down here? Do you squeeze it so it goes really down?
What do you mean? No, I mean I might need to make more of a batch.
That's
Alright.
Rachel.
Oh, do you want one of these buckets?
Thanks. I think I should have put it on beforehand, but...
No, I was just wondering, that ganache went down really quick. Did it go down? Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
And do you tap
With
between
them.
each layer?
With this I haven't, because it seems to be going nicely, but with the dark chocolate I would have done, because it's a 1:2 ratio, and I think with the milk I should have done as well. The milk was just a little bit thicker than this, but yeah, you'll be able to see whether it's like free flowing or not. But I think because obviously we were doing stuff in demos, we're not going as fast perhaps as you would do at home if you were just cracking on with it. But yeah, just bear that in mind, because if you're having to stop at all, then you will need to, because your ganache will be thickening up, but you can just pop that back in the microwave if it does thicken up.
So Trisha Linda Neal says, love these lives, Carol. Thank you so much. We learn so much. Yes, I actually go into a lot of time and effort, but I do appreciate all the thank yous. As a company, I just want to get one thing out the way. As a company, I have never once been paid by any supplier for a product. Not once. I would love it if a supplier paid me. I really would. I would actually love it if a supplier paid me to advertise their product. I have never, ever, ever, ever been paid. I've actually not been paid from the frigging Sugar and Crumbs company yet. So
You want to speak to someone about that?
everybody else has been paid, but I have still not had a payday
You
yet.
need to see that
So
financial
there was a
accountant.
bit of a comment on social media yesterday that I am paid to do these. Let me tell you now, I am not. If I get a free mould or a free liner, which I will say, Brigid's Cake Room gave me 6 liners. They gave me 1 to give to Karen, 2 for myself, 1 for Rachel, 1 for Laura in the office, and 1 to my daughter Laura. And that's because we do Facebook Lives all the time. They then also gave me 3 kits to give away as prizes. So, you know, I do not get paid at all. I was a bit put out by that comment yesterday. In fact, I was really miffed about it. But John asked me to
No, I
wind my
think
neck
it'll be
in.
alright. Yeah, because I'm not going to have much more ganache anyway,
Yeah.
so... Go on.
But the reason I do Facebook Lives is I'm like you guys. I'm at home, I've got a new product, I'm excited and I want to know how to use it. And you guys see me come on and use the product first time without having any practice. I haven't even got time to practice. I've got a full-time job, I've got a business to run, I've got staff to look after, I've got a website to run, I've got stock to buy.
9 grandchildren.
9 grandchildren. And let me tell you now, I don't even see my grandchildren. I've promised myself that I want to see more of my grandchildren. I've always been a worker. I was like this when I had the children. So, anyway, I'm not going to go on into that now, but...
Vicky says, stop sleeping with the boss, Carol. They
yeah,
might pay you.
I know. But, yeah, I was a bit miffed by that comment yesterday. I thought, you know what, that was a bit of a dig at me. I've worked hard of giving free Facebook Lives, okay? And I'm not having to go at the staff, but I pay all the staff. And I now treat all the tutors to either free gifts or a payment, plus transport money, You know, even Rachel down the road, we give you a payment as well, don't we? And I do that all the time. We don't want anybody to do anything for us, and that all comes out of Sugar and Crumbs' pocket. Nobody does anything for us for free. We don't want them to. The only people that I ask to do a free live is if they've got a product to sell, but it's never been anybody who's come in the kitchen. Okay, and but if they've got a product to sell, so if Karen Davies comes, she's got a product to sell. But I don't charge her for advertising her product, which is why I like it if you buy off us that product, because I'm not charging Karen an advertising fee to advertise on our platform, or Katie Sue, or whoever else brings the product. We've not charged Brigid's Cake Room for the advertising their product. We've done this ourselves. And the other thing is, because I've sold so many kits, I feel responsible that I need to explain this to you properly. I don't want to give you a fancy half-a-minute video saying, there you go. You know what? Let's go into this in depth. I support every product I sell, and if I don't sell it, it's because I don't want to sell it.
That's the point of being your own boss.
Exactly.
Can I just ask a quick question? Are we putting a board on the base of this?
Yeah, may as well.
Or...
Is that a 6-inch now?
Yeah.
I don't even know where I am.
Yes.
The boards. They're up here, aren't they?
I'm just going to make a little bit more ganache because I think we're going to be a little bit short. So probably for this size, if you're doing it with the liner, I would go in with 1 kilo of chocolate rather than the 900 that I did.
So that's for the 6-inch cake doing it
With the liner,
so
yeah.
Somebody asked before, so if you do it with a liner, 1 kilo of chocolate.
Yeah, and it's a 1 to 3. Because I'm just a little bit short. But I think if we'd cut the cake back and done it in a 6-inch tin, the 900 chocolate would have been bob on.
Oh, I'm not dipping my finger in the ganache today. I showed
I
myself
noticed
the other day.
that.
Honestly, it
Where's
just
Karen's
my husband was watching and he said this pink nail just kept going in. And
I was just giggling at home. All I could see was a finger coming across.
so funny. Oh dear.
See, the ladies on here, they say they have spare ganache. If they've got any offcuts of cake, it gets put on the cake and it's their lunch break.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Well,
And
Karen and I are sat here scoffing cake.
Sometimes I put some sometimes I try and justify it as a bit healthy by putting some berries on it or something. Chuck some blueberries on there, antioxidants.
Yeah, so there's
All the
three of us-
tricks.
There's 3 of us scoffing cake here. We're all eyeballing that ganache, believe me.
I'm like, I'm not going off, back away. Everybody, back away.
So is it mils of cream or grams that you use?
Mills.
There you go,
Mills
Dale.
and grams, as I say.
It was a
The
Jasmine
liquid.
moment.
Eh?
It was a Jasmine moment.
And you know, I'm the only company who commits to lives, and I'm sorry to go on about it, but you know, yesterday's comment really got me. I was really quite cross, and I was really quite cross because there's not one other company that gives you a Facebook Live every Monday and Thursday. Not one. And we're religious about it, and we are there even when I don't feel well, and there's many a times I have not been well, and Karen has said, I'll do it for you, and I said, no, it's alright Karen, we'll do it. I think with Karen, and we've cracked on, and I've done it. You've seen me, I've been tired, I'm exhausted. You know, I'm supposed to be taking weekends off. Have you noticed I've worked all weekend, as I did last weekend? I've had 1 Saturday night off so far. But I do it because I believe in all the products that we sell, and as a company I want to be able to have a go at using them, and if I can have a go at using them, then you can as well. Now the reason I'm not doing this ganache is I know nothing about ganache. Nothing. And I'm not even sure I want to. But I like the kit for me getting sharp edges for my buttercream and Swiss meringue buttercream, which I'm going to come back and show you this afternoon. And you don't really do buttercream cakes really, do you?
Not really, no.
So,
Apart
it's
from
what you
like
want it for.
semi-naked ones and stuff, but
So Dan's saying, how do you make sure the cake's level? You're doing
Yes.
the eyeball level there,
You
aren't
gotta-
you?
you've got to squat, I'm afraid, and get down. So with this, obviously, as soon as it gets above the purple liner, you can be checking it. So when I put my 3rd layer on, typically with this size cake, and I think the layers are about 1 inch deep of each cake layer. And so as soon as you get above the purple one, I think with the third layer of cake, I just go and check, and I do any corrections at that point, just squidge it left or right, turn your tin all the way around. There's no point in checking that it's level just from one side, because it can look level to there, but it could be sticking up at the other end. So make sure you give it a good turn around, and then this is your last chance to kind of get to do that sense check. So as you put the board on, you just want to go down again, and it's got lovely little handy lines around the edge so that you can keep an eye on it, and just check.
Yeah, so thank you for all the lovely feedback. It's like today, I put this live on. Believe me, I've got a mountain full of work. I mean, I spent 2 days in production last week. I mean, I'm the boss, and there I am. I'm blending buttercream, icing sugar, and doing sprinkles. Come on, nobody. I do every job in this company. I made this company, so there's not a job that I don't know. But then I saw that a few people were struggling with the kits, and then I didn't even ask Karen or Terry or anybody. I just put a post on straight away and said, right, shall we do a live on Monday? And that was it. And that's how I work for this company. I want you all to be very happy with Sugar and Crumbs and the products we bring to you. You know, and then I asked Rachel, and Rachel was very good and said yes. And obviously you saw my technique on Thursday to get her back here today. And now
I'm glad she's not sat opposite me today, because I can avoid eye contact.
And now, out of her own mouth, I didn't even have to ask her, she's offered to sugar paste it for you. I mean, what better demo can you get than that? So, you know, but I will tell you, I was very miffed, and if that lady's watching, I'd like her to apologise, because I don't get paid 1 single penny off anybody. In fact, my biggest payments is when you lot send me a card or a gift or something, which is lovely.
Or turn up and follow and like and share.
Yes, that's what I like, yeah. Turn up and follow.
Mandy Harvey's asking, can you use a cake card instead of a board?
Yes, you can do.
Absolutely.
So you can use whatever you want on this. You don't even need to use a board. I think on the original demo that the Brigid's Cake Room did, they didn't pop a board on, and I think Mr Baker's Cakes didn't pop a board on either. He was doing a single tiered cake, and he turned it out and he put it onto a cake stand, and it was ready to go. So if you're, obviously most of my cakes you'll know by now that are wedding cakes, so for me I tend to use on the sugar pasted one, which is what this would be for. I use a cake drum because there's extra weight with the ganache layer, with the sugar paste layer, and you're stacking those cakes and they're nice and sturdy. On the buttercream semi-naked cakes, I tend to use the double thick cake cards. So yeah, you can use the double thick cake cards. You don't even have to pop a board on. If you're just turning it out, you know, if you're just doing it for you at home, or you're just turning it out straight, like to serve straight away as a single tiered cake, then again that's fine. But yeah, for me, I always use cake cards. I pretty much just do tiered cakes.
Somebody's just asked about the biscuit cake recipe on the website. It's an 8-inch biscuit cake, and Karen made it on a live the other week. It was amazing. I will give you a warning alert now. Warning, warning, warning. If you make it, you will not stop eating it. And Karen made a full one of these to the top,
to the very top,
and a half of one with the 8-inch mix that's on the box.
Yeah.
So if you want a smaller one, half the mix.
I'm never making it again.
And we're never making it again. It was so good.
Tell you what I really like about that is that how quick and easy it is, but also it's postable, because it's not, you know, it's not going on. It's postable, and you can cut it to whatever size you want, and it just has a longer life on it than a normal
I got
cake.
sharp edge on it. I was just happy at now.
She was. Yeah.
So that's it, basically. So I've had a quick look round. I've got a few little air bubbles, and you can either tap those down, or you can just think, well, I'll just deal with those. Even when, you know, when I remove it, I can deal with those if I want. But yeah, just do like a little check round. Make sure that you're level. I've got a little bit of a gap here with Ganache. I'm just going to top that up to the base. So I've topped that up to the base of, like, so it's flush with the cake board. If that makes sense. So even though I've put that in and it was flush like a minute ago, because everything's still just settling, just leave it out on the side for a couple of minutes while everything just settles, and that ganache continues to just drop down into all those little nooks and crannies, and just make sure that you've not got any big gap along the top, which of course will be the bottom when you flip it afterwards. But yeah, simple, right?
I'm Fantastic. Yeah, no, they're all very pleased.
So that would just go straight into the fridge. I would leave that overnight like I would do if I'd used the Profrost or the Ganaching plates. What are they called? Ganaching plates. And then obviously you can peel it and do whatever you want with it. Cover it with sugar paste or do drips on it like we did the other day. Yeah, anything you want. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge.
Yeah. And what we're going to do is the cakes that we do, we're going to unveil tonight's live. So not only are we doing this all day session for you today, Karen and I are going to clean the kitchen. Karen's going to run home, have some tea, say hello to her husband. I'm going to jump on the computer, finish off some more work, because if you notice, I put a load of stuff in the clearance box. I brought in the Lissy Lou range. I've only got, I think I brought in 61 products. I managed to put 30 on last night. So I've got another 30 odd. I've got about another 10 Katie Sue molds. I've got the new Karen Davies mold to go on. So I've got a busy day.
I love the Lissy Lou range. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Really
yeah.
nice.
So that's on the website. And what else? What else is there? Yeah, so Karen's going to nip home, have some tea, say hello to her husband. I'm going to carry on working on the computer. And me and Karen are back here at 8 o'clock with Simon, who's been resting all day.
Yeah, and he'll come in and he'll probably give him a couple of yawns and need his coffee. Bless his coffee.
Yeah, we're already starting on Simon.
He loves it, Rach. He really does love it, you know.
I know. So yeah, I don't know if you want to do a quick break so we can have a tidy up before sugar pasting.
Shall we all have a little wee break?
Yeah,
what time is
I
it?
think they could do it. It's 25 to 1, so I think they could do with a bit of
Lunch.
a comfort break.
Yeah.
Okay.
So should we come back at 1 o'clock? Will
Yeah.
you be okay for you?
I'll
You
be
all
fine,
right?
yeah.
Good, we'll knock out another cake in that time for you, love.
No, we're just sugar pasting.
We're going to come back at 1 o'clock. That gives you time to get a quick butty and sit down, and
we'll
we can have a
clear
bit
up.
of a clean up in here and be ready. And we're going to sugar paste one of the cakes you made
Yep,
on
I've
Thursday.
got the one that we scraped the drip off.
The ruby off, yeah.
Yeah, so we can cover that even though it's not entirely perfect. We'll get it covered and you can see.
Yeah, goody good. Right, and we'll put a drip back on that after. No, we're not. We're going to have a sharp edge.
You can
We
do
don't wanna
whatever
put a
you
drip
want
on
with it once
No,
I've
no.
finished with it.
See you at 1 o'clock.
Bye.
Look at our new video as well.